Hello, free people of the Rocky Mountain region. My name is Brandon, and welcome to this Free State Colorado interview. The mission of Free State Colorado is to promote a culture of liberty, freedom of the individual, and a free market. Today, I'm joined by Hannah Goodman, Chairwoman of the Libertarian Party of Colorado. And just recently, Hannah announced her candidacy for the Vice Chair of the Libertarian National Committee. Well, Hannah, I hope you are well, and thank you for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me. I just love coming on Free State Colorado and talking about all the different things we have going on.
Wonderful. Well, Hannah, the Libertarian Party of Colorado seems to be generating more headlines, more attention than I've really ever seen. Why is this? Why is the Libertarian Party of Colorado gaining so much attention?
Well, it really falls in line with the vision that I have as chairwoman of the party. That vision is to radically change and reshape the political landscape of Colorado. So we've done that in numerous ways, and all of those ways have yielded decent amount of fruit as far as press coverage and things of that nature.
Awesome. Well, give us some highlights. What are some of the accomplishments that the Libertarian Party of Colorado's had over the last year?
We started off my term in a very strong position. We had a very strong legislative team behind me when I was vice chairman. As I transitioned into chairwoman in the middle of our legislative session, that team also transitioned as well. In fact, you help advise us and oversee the legislative things going on and help us track what's going on. And we thank you so much for doing that. And with those efforts, the past legislative session of Colorado, we crushed it. Everything that we came and opposed in full force, we were able to stop. We weren't able to stop everything, but we weren't able to show up in full force on every single bill or issue. But the ones where we did, we hit it out of the park. The most notable, my favorite of the legislation that we showed up to oppose was the bill proposed by Barbara Kirkmeyer trying to end the Colorado caucus system, which would have really handicapped the Libertarian Party. And some people speculate that she did it in revenge to the Libertarian Party. So that got really juicy and that got everyone fired up. And that's really what I kicked off my term doing. Shortly after the legislative session ended, I was able to rekindle a friendship with Dave Williams, who's now the chairman of the Colorado GOP. He's a former House rep, and I worked with him when he was a sitting House rep, and it was fantastic being an activist underneath him. So with that friendship, we decided, hey, well, what can we do to work together and defeat the Democrats who have a monopoly on the political landscape of Colorado? How do you want to do this? And we ended up coming together, and we worked out the terms of a deal, the infamous deal of the year, which was infamous within the Libertarian Party, brought a huge amount of notoriety from the Colorado press. We even got a national coverage a little bit from the Epoch Times. So we really made waves with that. We made waves once again when we released our liberty pledges for candidates running for office to sign, which thank you so much. Once again, you were crucial in helping us form and draft that and keep this partnership together and healthy and alive and help both sides navigate. So really, thank you so much for all of the work that you've done this year for the party to help us be incredibly successful.
Well, I appreciate that, Hannah. Yeah, I mean, one of the things I'm most excited about, and I think, you as a liberty leader in our state have definitely been setting the example, is building these coalitions and building this community of people, whether it's the liberty members of the Republican Party, the Libertarian Party, other people out there, gun rights activists, food freedom activists, people who are maybe a little skeptical of government mandated healthcare schemes, to put it politely, those types of things. We have this amazing community of just liberty-minded individuals here in Colorado, and that's why I'm so committed to thinking that we can create a free state out here because we have so many people who are willing to show up, put in the work, and speak out, in terms of liberty. But everything you've done to help build that community and build that culture, I think, is paying off, and it's pretty exciting to see where we're going to be going with it.
Yes, Colorado is now very active We have a lot of camaraderie. We're working really hard on building coalitions and partnerships outside of ourselves so that we have become very relevant now here in the Colorado political landscape. And that's how you revolutionize politics. And it's so needed here with the oppression we feel from the one party rule and the Democratic majority.
Definitely. And I got to say too, the legislative program I know was pretty exciting this last year. Just to elaborate a little bit further for people who aren't familiar with what Hannah was mentioning, there was a bill by a very vengeful state representative who wanted to basically handicap the Libertarian Party's ability to get candidates on the ballot because she lost her congressional race with a libertarian spoiler who cost her going to Congress. I mean, that's a big deal for these career politicians, right? That's their dream, is to get into these cushy positions in Congress where they can trade stocks like Nancy Pelosi and get lifelong benefits and live off the taxpayer dime for so long. So the fact that a libertarian candidate prevented this sitting legislator from becoming a congressperson led to this vengeful legislation. So it was really exciting to see the Libertarian Party mobilize, show up, and speak out and testify against this bill, and really raise some hell, really, in terms of getting this stopped in committee last year. So that was pretty cool to see. In addition, there was the assault weapons ban. I think
Yes.
almost everybody on the board and libertarian members across the state showed up, testified, really was down at the Capitol. We were talking, I know we had some good members down there speaking out in defense of our Second Amendment rights. So really exciting to see the power of the Libertarian Party getting engaged locally at that legislative level. And I think part of that, has is why being able to make a deal with the Republicans, because you've done such a good job of mobilizing the party and getting the libertarians to show up and get active. So now here's an actual viable threat or a viable power in state politics here in Colorado, and now you can leverage that power to work with the Republicans. Can you tell us a little bit more about that deal that you made with the Republican Party? I know we did a video on it previously, but just for those people who don't know, can you dive into that just a little bit deeper?
Yes, sure. So Dave Williams and we go back in politics a few years before now, obviously, when I was first getting into politics, working with activist groups, and he was helping to give information to help organize these activists. So that was in 2018, I believe, when we first started. And over the years, we've been able to just meet each other and kind of work together. Whenever he's come through Phillips County, I'm always at the Republican events there. Uh, it's a huge social event here in Phillips County. So that's why I would be attending them. And we've just built a rapport, which has led to, and the fact he's so liberty leaning, like he is the type of Republican we absolutely need to elect everywhere across the board. I mean, come on, he's the Thomas Massey of Colorado. So, he gave a taxation is theft speech from the floor of the House. He is a great guy. This would not have worked with any other Republican, probably. The fact that we had a relationship going back in politics, the fact that he is so liberty leaning and really understands libertarianism and is very much a libertarian Republican. That's what made this possible. Now, we were just curious, like, what can we do? How can we shake this up? Because he hates living under Democratic rule. I hate living under Democratic rule. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. So what can we do to really shake this game up and see, what can we do to break this monopoly up? Because it's a political monopoly that they have. So we went to the drawing board. We discussed several different things, and what it turned out and looks like is that for new candidates running for offices, not necessarily incumbents, but the newer people wanting to seek election would be presented with, they get presented with pledges like the Rocky Mountain Gun Owners Pledge, things like that. So we crafted our own pledge, and they can initial as much of it as they want. They don't have to initial the whole thing. Like, it's all up to them as far as their choice. And the idea is that if they sign these pledges, we take them to convention, to our delegates who nominate our candidates at assembly, and say, yes, we can run a race like this with a libertarian, or maybe there's nobody in the race, but that's always a possibility. But we can say to the delegates, we don't necessarily have a chance of getting elected at the state house level. We don't have the funding. That all costs money, right? And it's like statistics, how much this race will cost you X amount of dollars. You have to spend this amount of time to really be a player in the game. Libertarians just traditionally don't have that kind of funding. So we could say to the Libertarian, theoretically, delegation when they're nominating candidates at assembly, hey, we don't stand a chance at winning this. We could still run, or we could not run a candidate. And you see this pledge right here. This person is pledging to us that they're going to uphold our values, and we're going to hold them to it. And of course, that's a gamble, right? The delegates could always say no. But I was elected chairwoman to do the job that I'm doing, to make these deals that I'm making, to use my years of service in the political arena to advance the cause of liberty. That's what I've been tasked to do. So that is why I'm doing these acts, because this is what I ran on as chairwoman. We're going to radically change things. So with that, I think that my delegates coming into convention are going to take the recommendation of the job they elected me to do. So the chances of this working are very, very good through the delegation process, right? So we're really looking forward to seeing how that plays out over 2024. We have an upcoming convention in March where we're going to be electing our delegates. Depending on the number of pledges we get back in the different areas that we do, it's going to be up to our delegates to decide. So that's how the deal started. That's what it looks like. And that's how it works, essentially.
Nice. Yeah, I think it's really important that what you're doing because it's really building those bridges. And one of the things you said that I think libertarians, hopefully across the country, can learn from is you said, when there's a Republican meetup in Phillips County, you're there. When there's this big meeting, when there's some sort of social event, and I think too many libertarians are afraid to network with Republicans or Democrats or people who are maybe unaffiliated. People who aren't other libertarians. But it's so important because we are such a small party and there's so few of us that building those coalitions and building those networks of other liberty-minded individuals regardless of party affiliation can really pay off, and I think that's what we're seeing. But I think that key line right there, I hope people take away, show up at different events, show up at Republican events, especially if you're in a Republican county or Republican district, right?
Yes, absolutely. I get a lot of respect when I walk in the door. I had to work for that respect. I earned it. Now that I have it, it has been so useful to get around Colorado on both my local level, my state level, and sometimes my federal level. Ken Buck, he's met me. He knows who I am. He's never very excited to see me. I don't know why. So you end up making all these connections, and any world is a small world, right? So it may seem overwhelming and daunting and big, but actually, you go to events, either on the right or the left, Republican, Democrat, whatever. You go to these events and you find out very quickly it's only just a small core group of people, and you can pick and choose who you want to try and work relationships with and why, because maybe you guys agree on economics, but disagree on justice reform, right? But is it important to still have somebody that you agree with at least on one item that you can work towards together? Yes. You're not always going to agree with everyone outside of the Libertarian Party, but no one in the Libertarian Party agrees either. So, it's not like it's going to be unfamiliar ground. And I just really would encourage people to definitely get out and try and network where they can in their own local events that are political.
Definitely. Yeah, very well said. So you talked about the legislative session last year, talked about building this relationship with the Republican Party of Colorado. What else? What are some of the other accomplishments or achievements of 2023 for the Libertarian Party of Colorado?
One thing I'm really proud of and very excited for is that our membership is up, and our revenue is up considerably as well. When these types of things started happening, when we showed our membership and our base through communications, look, we're out at the legislative session. If you want to support what we're doing here, these are our activists, these are people that are showing up and speaking. Here's the videos, here's the pictures on our social media, here's all of these things. Will you support and join in the fight today? we got a lot of revenue during the legislative session, putting out communications and just showing how active we were. We also created a lot of revenue streams from reoccurring contributions. I'm sorry. So we are up on reoccurring contributions. We got a lot of those during the time where we were communicating a lot about the Republican deal to our base. They're like, okay, so she showed up to the legislative session, she rocked it with her team, and everyone underneath her is now showing up at the legislative session as much as they can this legislative session. There's people going there fighting for our rights. That's huge. People are getting active, right? And we're showing them. And then with showing them, look, she's also said she was going to do some radical things when she became chairwoman in relation to working with other people and other parties. Well, she definitely executed there, so let's give her more money. And that's essentially what all the members of the LPCO have been doing. We got almost no negative feedback on the GOP deal, and we got no negative feedback on the legislative session. We just got lots more money and more members for the LPCO.
Wow. No, that's really exciting. I think that's a huge accomplishment. You know, politics runs on money. Without money, you don't have as much power as you otherwise could. But you know, something I kept thinking about as you were kind of going through it is this: it feels like libertarians have a voice in Colorado, and I know that's not true in a lot of other states. I know it's not true everywhere, but it seems now more than ever. You know, if for being a registered libertarian, I have a bigger voice than I would otherwise, whether it's showing, you know, the legislative program or just even having some influence over Republican Party politics. It's like libertarians have a bigger voice now in Colorado, and that's pretty exciting.
Yes, there was an article that came out that I'm very proud of, this particular statement. 42,000 registered libertarians are now calling the shots for 900,000 Republicans, which is not exactly what I mean. That was from our political opposition, but it was still a really, really nice statement for the Libertarian Party to receive, regardless of it's probably not actually true. But I took it as a win.
Definitely a win. No, that's awesome. That's really cool. And it's really, yeah, really exciting to see the reoccurring members, all the people in the community, you know, joining the party, contributing money. What else? Anything else to talk about with 2023? Oh,
Actually, let's go into running candidates. So this was the first year the LPCO has ever focused on local campaigns at all, ever. So we were able to collect a lot of raw data. We have never collected data on any candidates' runs ever as the LPCO. So we were literally starting from ground zero, trying to build a framework for running candidates. The reason we really are focusing on local is for libertarians, realistically, that's the most electable position you're going to get at this point. Not only that, it's statistically, it's much easier to get elected to a local position versus state level and higher. So it would really just behoove people to get experience running campaigns, getting into office. What is it like in office by just running local? So with that idea, that's also very radical. The other parties don't necessarily focus on local, although I saw this year the Dems were posting quite a bit about helping local campaigns as well. The GOP did not focus on local campaigns, but that's part of the deal. Is if we leave the higher races alone, the one thing that we do get out of it is that they'll not focus on local races, particularly where we don't want them to focus on races. So that's the other end of the deal, and that's we took that this election cycle and tried to make the most of it. So we had 6 or 7 candidates that ran. We had a few school board candidates, we had a couple of mayor candidates, and we had some city council district positions as well. We did not win any election, but we collected a lot of raw data. We were able to hire political directors to help us allocate resources to those campaigns and also help us take that raw data and process it so that we are able to use it going forward. So that is really actually quite a blessing that we were able to hire some people to help the board with campaigns and candidates. That has also never been done before in the LPCO. So this entire first year of my term has been utterly groundbreaking, in my opinion. That would be exactly how I describe it, because all of the things we're doing have never been done before by the Libertarian Party of Colorado.
Awesome. Yeah, it was really exciting seeing the candidates running this year, all these local races. And even if they didn't win their campaigns, still getting out there, spreading the message of liberty, having a presence in the community, and talking about issues that no other candidates are really talking about. I think it's like you said, it's breaking ground. You got to start somewhere. You got to start at ground zero and kind of build from there. So laying the foundations for future candidates with the data, with the name recognition, with just getting some campaign experience under the belts of some of these people who then can share that experience with future candidates or maybe run again themselves in future years, I think is so important. I mean, not that I'm the biggest fan of Abraham Lincoln, but there's all that story about how many times he ran for office, how many times he lost, and then eventually, started winning. So I think that's key as well, for people to understand out there. It can be discouraging to run a political campaign and not win, but you just keep trying. You're not necessarily going to win the first time, but maybe the second time you can approach it a little bit better, the second and the third time, fourth time, and then all of a sudden you're an expert. You're has somebody with more experience than anybody else in the room.
Yes, and statistically, and from a political science standpoint, you're going to run at least 3 elections before you're elected. Yes, it does suck to lose a campaign. I know I've lost twice. So my next run's going to be a lot better odds for me to get elected to those offices. We'll see what the next 2 years look like.
Awesome. Well, speaking of candidates in the 2023 election, I was really excited to see the Libertarian Party of Colorado be part of a coalition to defeat Proposition HH. I know the Libertarian Party had a barbecue fundraiser and was networking with other groups that were supporting our taxpayers' Bill of Rights, and out there were really spreading the word about how terrible Proposition HH was, that would have robbed us of our tax refund money, grown the size of government, and kind of been the largest tax increase in Colorado history if it passed. So I'd say that's another big victory for the LPCO this year, is helping to defeat Proposition HH.
Yes, that was quite intense. We worked with what was called the Tabor Coalition. It was made up of the Libertarian Party of Colorado, Americans for Prosperity, the Independence Institute, the Tabor Foundation, and there was upwards of like 22 members altogether, with us included in that number. I don't remember all of the different. Those were the top ones that stood out as being the most active, trying to get the word out. We were trying to help Americans for Prosperity phone bank and door knock. We also sent out emails at regular intervals, letting our membership know to vote no on Prop HH. And so between all of the combined efforts, between John Caldera's website, the Tabor Foundation's website, Americans for Prosperity, which is the largest right-wing activist group in the nation, there was a lot of really heavy-hitting contenders to work with us on that issue, and it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's great. No, it was really good to see that defeated. And it was really optimistic for me, that moment during election night, when here's this large tax increase. Colorado is written off by a lot of people. They say it's a blue state, Colorado's lost, blah, 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 all this negativity. But here we go. We defeat Proposition HH. I mean, it's pretty hopeful. I mean, it was like 60-40 too. It wasn't even close. So that's pretty
Yes,
exciting to see that, people care about their tax refund money. People care about their taxpayer bill of rights, the idea that they want to keep that money in their pocket. So great to see the Libertarian Party being one of the leaders on that cause.
yes. Then subsequently from Prop HH, the governor called a special session. They rammed through a bunch of legislation. And so now currently there's a lawsuit brewing from House Rep Scott Bottoms because they didn't do the formal process of a particular reading of a bill on the floor that they then passed. And so he's looking to have people join forces on that. We are in talks and considering navigating to join that lawsuit so that we can help hold the state house accountable. And going forward, it's not going to stop them. Of course, they're just going to reintroduce the legislation at the next legislative session if they have to overturn it in court, blah, blah, blah. They'll do anything to supersede the will of the voters. And that's why it's a monopoly. That's why it's a Democratic monopoly. It's a political monopoly that the Democrats hold here on this state. They don't care about the voter. The voter, even their own people, voted against Prop HH. That's how we got 65% on that win. That was a landslide victory, which included people from their party. And they just overrode their entire will. And it's absolutely mind blowing what they won't stop to. So that's another win. With lawsuits come more press, more attention. And also it shows that we're willing to step up and hold people accountable through the courts and get our name out that way and be an even more formidable opponent.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, 2023 was definitely a banner year for the Libertarian Party of Colorado. Great to see all the efforts under your leadership out there. But 2023 is over. It's December right now. What do you got planned for 2024?
Already, we're looking at planning the next legislative session, so it'll start in January. So that's coming up right after the holiday. Well, another thing that we're going to be working on is gearing up for elections. So this will be a presidential ballot. So we're expecting high voter turnout. So providing really nice candidates of substance and quality. We're trying to do away with the line holder mentality and really find people who are electable, real libertarians who are really electable, and will run in races where it seems like it's going to be a better fit for us. And we're going to encourage the delegates in that direction going forward with the next election cycle. So that's two big efforts again, two more big pushes going from January to May, and then pick up the election cycles. And we'll probably start working on that really heavily in July as a party.
Gotcha.
The
Yeah.
candidates are going to be working on their campaigns from the gate, but as far as party involvement, it's looking like we'll start looking at getting political directors again and help us strategize and allocate resources and help us manage the raw data and things like that.
Gotcha, gotcha. It sounds like a good plan for the start of the year. January 10th, the legislative session convenes, and I know myself, Free State Colorado, will be working hard, working with the Libertarian Party of Colorado to have a good presence of liberty-minded individuals speaking against the bad bills, standing up with our liberty leaders down there at the state capitol for any pro-liberty legislation we might see, and just trying to raise voter awareness about what's going on. I think so much of why these legislators can get away with their bad behavior is because the media doesn't talk about it. The average voter doesn't have the time or the attention or the ability to to see what's going on down at the state capitol, how this sausage is being made, and how they're trying to violate our rights and overrule the will of the people at every opportunity they can. So I'm really excited to work alongside the Libertarian Party this year to create some noise about what's going on in the state legislature and hopefully hold some of these politicians accountable. I think that's going to be a really fun and interesting time.
Yes, we're so thankful. We could not do what we're doing without your help and guidance, more than any the guidance that you're able to provide for us to help us sound polished, to look polished, to be organized, to show up and learn how to speak to legislators, how to make comment and things like that. We would not be able to do it without you. So we really value you, and we really appreciate the work Free State Colorado is able to do and help support us and help us get in where we fit in.
Awesome. Well, appreciate the kind words. They're making me blush a little bit there, but I think it's important. One of the big takeaways I'd say for the legislative session is for our candidates. In 2023, we had a good examples of our candidates going down earlier in the year to the legislative session and putting in the work. Showing up, speaking out, standing up for the people of the community. So I would really encourage any candidate who's running in 2024 or in the future. January is the time to get involved, start getting involved with the legislative process, really get a good grip and a good understanding of how it all works. And you don't have to be elected to go down and speak your mind, to testify, to provide a voice for liberty and stand up for, taxpayers, gun owners, whoever you want to stand up for. So, a lot of opportunity there for sure.
Yes. And not only that, working with the LPCO. So all of the activists that we run around with, that the legislative session is like our football season. It is our sport. We watch it and we talk it just like most people talk and watch sports. It is so much fun when the legislative session is kicking off. We have an LPCO Discord where members of the LPCO can come and hang out, and we like live talk. We talk to each other as we're live streaming, as we've got people at the Capitol. And so we're able to encourage people who show up there, and we're able to hang out and build that family connection. So it becomes a lifestyle and a culture. And it's so, so much fun to participate in the legislative session wherever and however you can, because I can't come out and testify and speak very regularly. I would like to try and get one in over this next session at least. That would be so much fun. I'm very much looking forward to that, because I know that when I show up here to my local city council, they're always like, God, why is she here? They know something is going down. And when I come into the county commissioners, they're like, oh, why is she here? That's usually the reaction I get. And so I really want my legislators to also understand the pain of what it's like when I come and tell you my opinions and my thoughts about the job that you're doing as an elected official. So I'm really looking forward to that. I hope I can participate. And I really hope if anyone wants to get in the Discord for the LPCO, all you got to do is email our membership director at lpcolorado.org. And you can find us on social media. We are pretty active there during the legislative session as well, through our Twitter specifically, but we have a Facebook group where we kind of drop things, not as regularly as the Discord during that, but it has the potential to kick off. So if you're not on Discord, but you're on Facebook, there'll still be action over there. So we really encourage anyone listening who wants to get involved with the legislative session to pursue those avenues.
Well, it's definitely a sign of a good liberty activist is to be able to show up somewhere and have the politicians immediately cringe and turn their lip up and just be frustrated with seeing you. I mean, that's what all liberty activists should aspire to.
If they don't cringe when you walk in the room, you're not doing it right.
That's awesome. I love it. Yeah, authoritarians need to feel some pain when you show up. So perfect. So you got the legislative session, really excited for that big push starting in January through May. But in March, when is the convention, the state convention coming up?
So March 23rd and 24th, it will be down in Colorado Springs at the Masonic Center. We've rented some very beautiful rooms there to have our convention. So the order of business will essentially be nominating candidates to run in partisan races, and also to elect delegates to send to our national convention, which is going to be in Washington, D.C. So that's going to be very fun. It's a presidential year. We're going to be doing business in Washington, D.C., the belly of the beast. We're sending our delegates out from the Masonic Center of Colorado Springs. It doesn't get any more 1776 than that. I feel like I'm taking my revolutionaries to Washington, D.C. to pierce the heart of the beast. Of course, it's just going to be the Libertarian Convention, but a girl can dream, right?
Yeah, I love it. Yeah. Well, awesome. Yeah, the convention's going to be a lot of fun locally, of course, in Colorado Springs. Really exciting to see the building a liberty community down in that part of the state as well. I think we have a really strong liberty community in the Denver area, and then some more of the more rural areas like where you're at, and then of course in northern Colorado. But to get kind of a liberty foothold or a libertarian foothold in the Colorado Springs area, I think is going to be key towards growing the party even more.
Yes, I would agree. And it's very ripe for that. We've already started making connections with people down in Colorado Springs. I met with several people when I was there checking out the location for convention. So I have a lot of high hopes for El Paso County and Pueblo County.
Awesome. So like you said, going to Washington D.C. for the national convention is important this year, and part of the reason it's so important is because you're running for vice chair of the Libertarian National Committee. So, what is that? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yes, I'm very excited to announce that I'm running with Angela McArdle, who is the current national chair of the Libertarian Party. She serves on the Libertarian National Committee, which is what the LNC stands for. So I will be her running mate as vice chairman so that we can work to further execute her vision and also start teaching me the ropes so that I may run for chair eventually. That is definitely on my list of goals. We are very excited that Karen Ann Harlos also announced last night that she is running for secretary. So this is a really game-changing moment, I feel, for the Libertarian Party as a whole nationally. We would have the potential to elect a female chairwoman, a female vice chairwoman, and a female secretary. Now, if I can find a female treasurer, I'm going to run her. So it would be very cool to have those top 4 positions held by women. 3 have the chance currently as things stand right now. I'm very excited to be running with Angela McArdle and with her vision to help her execute that.
Awesome, Hannah. Well, that's really exciting. I obviously wish you the best and hope you're successful in your bid. Can you tell us a little bit about like what does the vice chair do? What are some of the responsibilities, or what does that position entail?
Yeah, so it's executive assistant, sort of. So the chairman is really the outward face of the party, and they're very responsible for making contact with media, handling things that need the chairperson to attend, and also that person is the CEO of the board. They're in full control, and they have to have the accountability placed on them for all executive actions. The vice chairman is the internal face of the board, and they're responsible for carrying out the will of the chair to the board. And so that's managing the internal workings of the board in the day-to-day aspect. It's like an executive administrative assistant. So it's a lot more work in a sense of managing different avenues of the board. That's going to look like participating in different committees and overseeing other things like that. She's tasked me with working on the policy manual, and I currently have a plan for that, as well as helping the board to understand their roles and to really work on the internal structure there so that we're able to be more agile. Like in Colorado, we've worked at creating an agile style board that we're able to really ramp up productivity and stay on task. And that's going to be a skill that I bring in to the national committee as vice chairman, knowing how to run those agile projects, keeping everyone on task, as well as understanding their role and structuring a foundation underneath them that we're able to really springboard from forward.
Awesome. No, that's really exciting. What else do you think you bring to the Libertarian National Committee that maybe is lacking right now, or what are some things unique to you that you're going to bring to national?
I think throughout the Libertarian Party on a national scale, I'm known as being a very hard taskmaster. When I see people failing or slipping at their task, I not so gently nudge them back to their work. I say not so gently because I have very unfiltered opinions and criticisms, specifically when it comes to people who are representing me that I have elected to do a job. I was a delegate at Reno, and so I elected these people to do a job. When I see that job is slipping, I am very abrupt in pointing out the slippage as well as the failure and what I would like to see corrected. So that is a skill that works really well as vice chairman as a whole, giving very unfiltered feedback, making sure that people are staying on task, and nudging them gently in the direction of their work. So being a vice chair, you would be less hard and a lot more soft, as I'm going to be working with a board, not giving feedback as a member who has elected you. That's going to be a lot softer. But overall, I'm a very hard taskmaster. So we're going to be really focused on work. We're going forward we're looking to really change the culture of the LNC, which thereby is going to change the culture of the party. What that looks like is making sure that the board is operating at the highest level they can perform in the most professional way that they can do that, and also be executing the will and vision of the chair so that we're all working cohesively to move forward towards that vision and that goal.
Nice. No, that's exciting. And I really think, bringing some of the success you've had here in Colorado, some of this groundbreaking year you've had to national with new ideas, kind of thinking outside the box, but being willing to show up at different events, build coalitions, and, not say no to anything, but figuring out ways to make things happen. I think, putting in the work and building that brand and building that recognition of the Libertarian Party at the national level is so important.
Yes, outwardly, we are going to take a lot of the things that I've done here in Colorado and start implementing them on that national scale. That really looks like full support for state affiliates. Too often, state affiliates have been completely neglected. I could point to Alaska, for instance. They're literally the most neglected state affiliate that we have, and they could really use a boost and some support and some help. So turning a lot of the different focus that we've had as the LP as a whole over decades and just redirecting it where it makes more sense. We don't necessarily need to be chasing down different things that we've constantly been told are important. I think it's time, if that was really important and that was really successful, then it would be working and things would just be working, right? Nothing's really working on a national level. They have, since a little bit of drama on the national board, they've really turned around their productivity. I offered some very strong feedback. I offered some very strong challenge there. And Angela McArdle took that and ran, and boy did she run. So she's really, in the last couple of months, turned around the trajectory of the national board. It was going downhill, and I would say it's now definitely not. In fact, I would say they're going back uphill. Their revenue is up, and things like that. So she's doing a fantastic job, and I would like to help her continue to execute that vision and make up the time that was lost with internal struggles. And we're just done with the internal struggles. We're not dealing with it. Like, politics is drama enough. We don't need to add personal things into it. And so for the board coming in underneath me that's going to be elected, I would just offer the challenge that you better be ready to work, and you better be real willing to put aside personal dramas that mean absolutely nothing, that are doing absolutely nothing to advance the needle for liberty, because the goal is liberty. And I'm going to drive a board in that direction in a very firm manner.
Awesome. Wonderful. No, that's really exciting. Really like the idea of helping the different states out and maybe providing some of the guidance, some of the accomplishments here in Colorado, being able to give this kind of guidance to these other states and helping them kind of get to where we're at and just expand things totally. And I'm excited too, just because it'd be a great feather in the cap for Colorado to have the vice chair and then the national secretary both be from our great state would be pretty cool. I mean, we gotta solidify our libertarian credentials here.
I mean, it's only right and just in my mind that you would have at least two positions of the LNC from Colorado, considering the party was started here in Colorado. And the reason for that is Colorado has always been a bastion of liberty. And we're really, really, really proud of our heritage here in Colorado, which is why we push it very hard across the LP. Everyone knows Colorado goes hard for Colorado.
Yeah, we got a lot of pride out here. It's pretty about our state and our who we are, so that's pretty exciting.
Yes.
So just real quick, I at least want to touch on, say there's somebody who's new, say there's somebody who believes in liberty, believes in freedom, but is maybe hesitant to join the Libertarian Party. What would you say to somebody who believes in liberty but is hesitant to join the Libertarian Party? What would you say to them?
I would tell that person that, what do you have to lose? Do the other two parties really truly offer you the idea of liberty? And what it actually looks like in practice when you elect someone to office. There's been a handful of really good people here in Colorado who have served at different levels of government. And I don't want to take away from those people because some people truly have tried to advance liberty that were not libertarians. But as a whole, both the parties, both the Republicans and the Democrats are not actually offering you freedom of anything. And we can really see that now with the huge different rifts we have with the war issues. And liberty and war do not go hand in hand. So if your team is saying that war is great, regardless of the end target, that's not liberty. So if you strongly believe in liberty, you're going to be very anti-war, for instance. You're going to be very pro-choice on a lot of things, not one specific issue, but freedom to choose what can go in your body and the freedom to not have to have a passport that labels you something. Different parties have tried to present that they're the party of liberty, but they are not. The Libertarian Party is the only party that truly represents the ideals of liberty. And if you're a little on the fence or you're scared, you don't really have anything to lose when you change your voter registration. Nothing really happens, right? You just have different ballots sometimes, and that's it. That's all. It's not that scary. There's no downside. And hey, if you absolutely hate it, I suppose you can always go change your voter registration yet again to something else that you think fits you better. But definitely don't be hesitant to try and get connected with the Libertarian Party because we are truly trying to save liberty here in Colorado.
I just couldn't agree more. I'm happy to be a registered libertarian and look forward to building the community, building the party, and building the movement. And I think liberty is the future. It's going to take a while to get there, but it's going to be putting in the work, and I think we can make it happen. So perfect, Hannah. Well, anything else you'd like to leave us with today?
Yes, so if you're interested in my campaign for vice chair, I am currently raising donations to help make it more affordable for me. So you can Venmo me any amount of money. There's no campaign finance laws around me running for a internal party position. You can Venmo me at Hannah L. Goodman, and I'll take any amount of contributions anyone wants to make. But if you would like to see the different strategies we've used here in Colorado go national, then I would really encourage you to help me out by funding my campaign for vice chairman of the Libertarian National Committee. And if you would like to get connected with the Libertarian Party, I really would suggest you go to lpcolorado.org. There is the option to join our sustaining membership, and that's $25 a year. And there should be a tab at the top of our page that says membership, join now. So we would really love to see our membership increase here in the Libertarian Party of Colorado. But you don't need to sign up for the sustaining membership if you just want to change your voter registration to reflect Libertarian so that we can better represent your values. We would also just be delighted if you would do that simple act right there, and it costs $0.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, wonderful, Hannah. Well, I hope to talk to you again, especially as we get closer to national convention. But I want to thank you for taking the time today talking about the Libertarian Party. It's really nice to talk about some of the accomplishments of 2023, some of the plans for 2024, and that's one of my something I always liked to since a kid. All the year end stuff, year in review, and looking forward to the next year. It's a fun thing to do this time of year.
Yes, this has been a lot of fun to do. It's a nice little capstone on our work. It's like the bow on the package. Here's everything we've done this year. So it was just delightful to be on and have you talk with me again.
Perfect, Hannah. Well, I really appreciate you. Appreciate all your hard work, and I'm sure we'll talk again soon.